Greg stood in the doorway, his presence filling the room with an icy tension. He took a slow, measured step toward me, his gaze locked on mine, piercing through me. I gripped the papers in my hand, my mind racing as I tried to think of a way out, a way to explain.
What were you looking for, Samantha?
He asked, his voice smooth but laced with a dangerous edge. Hearing him say my real name, Samantha, not Victoria, sent a chill through me. I forced myself to meet his gaze, clinging to what little composure I had left.
I just wanted to understand, to remember who I really am.
His expression darkened, the softness in his eyes replaced with something colder, more calculating.
You don't need to understand anything. I've given you everything, a life, a home, a purpose. All you had to do was accept it.
He said sharply.
A purpose? Greg, I'm not Victoria. I'm not the woman you loved.
I echoed, my voice trembling. He tilted his head, his lips curving into a thin, humorless smile.
You're right, Victoria's gone. But I couldn't just let her life slip away, could I? And you, Samantha, you were the perfect replacement.
The weight of his words settled over me, each one confirming what I'd feared. He hadn't saved me out of love or kindness. He'd saved me because I could be molded, shaped to fit the role he needed to keep his world intact.
You lied to me. You used me. You made me believe I was someone else, just so you could keep Victoria's wealth, her life.
I whispered, anger surging through my fear. He shrugged, his eyes never leaving mine.
You were in no position to argue. You didn't even remember who you were. And what difference does it make? I gave you a better life, a chance to be someone important.
He said coldly. I clenched my fists, my stomach sick.
But I'm not her. I'll never be her.
Greg's gaze hardened, a flicker of anger in his eyes.
Maybe not, but you're all I have now. And you're going to stay right here, Samantha, whether you like it or not.
He said, taking another step toward me. I took a step back, my hand brushing against the edge of the desk behind me. My fingers found the cold, solid weight of a paperweight, and without thinking, I gripped it tightly.
Don't come any closer.
I warned, holding up the paperweight, my hand shaking. He stopped, his gaze flicking to the object in my hand. A smirk tugged at his lips.
What are you going to do, Samantha? You going to hit me? Where are you going to run? You have nowhere to go.
His words stung, but I held my ground. I didn't have a clear plan, but I knew I couldn't stay here, couldn't live this lie he'd created.
I'll just leave. I'll go and you'll never see me again. Just let me go, Greg.
He laughed, the sound cold and humorless.
You think it's that simple? You think you can just walk away after everything I've done for you?
You mean everything you've done to me?
I corrected, my anger boiling over.
You stole my life. You stole my identity. And now you're keeping me here, trapped in this house like a prisoner.
His face twisted with rage, and for a moment I thought he might strike me. But instead he took a deep breath, his expression settling into a cold mask.
Fine, if you're so desperate to leave, then go. But don't expect to find a warm welcome out there. As far as anyone's concerned, you're Victoria. Samantha Meredith is dead.
The finality of his words hit me like a punch to the chest. He was right. He'd erased every trace of my real identity, molding me into a ghost, a shadow of a woman who no longer existed. But I couldn't let that stop me. I couldn't let him keep me here, trapped in a life that wasn't mine. I turned, bolting for the door before he could react. I ran down the hallway, adrenaline pumping as I heard his footsteps behind me, closing in.
Samantha!
He shouted, his voice echoing through the house.
Don't be foolish. You have nowhere to go.
I ignored him, my only thought to escape, to get away from the twisted life he'd created. I stumbled down the stairs, nearly tripping as I reached the front door, fumbling with the lock. But before I could open it, Greg's hand clamped down on my shoulder, yanking me back. I struggled, my hands flailing as I tried to break free, but his grip was iron.
Let me go!
I screamed, twisting in his grasp.
Stop fighting, Samantha. This is your life now. You have no other choice.
He snarled, his face inches from mine. I met his gaze, defiance blazing in my chest.
You don't control me, not anymore.
With a burst of strength, I swung the paperweight, hitting him across the shoulder. He grunted, his grip loosening just enough for me to pull free. I ran out the door, into the night, my breath coming in gasps as I stumbled down the driveway. I didn't know where I was going, didn't care. All I knew was that I had to keep running, had to escape before he pulled me back into the prison he'd created. Behind me, I heard him shouting, his voice filled with fury. But I kept going, my feet pounding against the pavement, my heart racing as I disappeared into the darkness, leaving the life he'd forced on me far behind.